said she wants some fat, so I give her fat.
Ew, what? Since where did pedophilia? Pedophilia, if you're really curious about it, Dion, I think it's supposed to be foot fetish? Yeah. It's when you're trying to defeat, right? And this video was on TikTok, and this could be a little weird. His feet look adorable for some reason. I don't know. I always thought like tall or cute for some reason. Doesn't mean I'm weird how people thinking that us Americans are a little bit weird, especially think about in New York. Let's just say those supposed to be underground buses, right? Again, I'm from a state that doesn't have those because we only have light rails here. I knew that in the Czech Republic, and pardon me for my viewers that are Czech. I hope I didn't offend you because I'm so used to naming your country or calling your country that because I know it's Czechia. Because yeah, I'm that old, and not to mention I'm that old. I'm really old that I also think Pluto's a planet. It's so insane how he's not homeless, right? Compared to us Americans. Yet he has a smartphone. He has a cool bag, which I wasn't paying any notice to because I was paying attention to the bottoms of his feet that are dirty, and no one basically was showing any attention whatsoever, which is really interesting how he won't get kicked out. Well, same way here in the States. If a homeless person did that, they probably won't get kicked out unless they really smell. They're causing a ruckus, right? Because I remember we had incidents like that since COVID. But I don't know. And also, I had to start over because my MacBook froze, and pardon me for the choppy audio. I cannot do much editing because if I do too much, it will freeze again and I will lose a lot of time. And I had to start over at 9:34. Lucky time of the day. In random Chinese newer order. But yeah, let me cut this off. We go to the next TikTok or Tik clip.
I'm in Czech Republic, Republic of the Czechs. I've stayed in Prague for the last 2 days and I'm not gonna lie. Beautiful, colorful, nice. But somebody needs to tell me why everything is demonic. Somebody needs to tell me why everything is devilish. Somebody needs to explain why am I seeing demons left, right and center. Everything demon, everything devil. God forbid, my God is greater. Another demonic. Another demonic. Oh God. I'm looking up at the castles. I'm seeing ghosts and monsters. Even this Airbnb, that painting there. What is that? You're telling me there's someone not there in the middle. I rebuke it. Why is there Insidious on the wall? I rebuke it. Even when we went to go and watch
the Nigerian roller. I don't know. I like this guy. He's adorable.
That one. You know what I'm talking about. The clock. We went to go and see the astronomical clock, and oh my gosh, they went to go and tell us the tale.
Clean. I love they said more clean. It's so cute. Oh my goodness. Oh my Buddha.
A ghost is gonna come and curse the town.
I just had to just share a random clip of him, and please pardon me for not having the URLs for all of these videos as I give credit to the TikTokers that actually posted these, because I know TikTok can be a really weird place, but I try not to fall into that trap since I know my TikTok videos are crud or whatnot, right? And you're buzzing in there. And not to mention, I'll show like a random clip after probably 2 more that represents in my state of a really handsome or hot boy that basically lives in Japan. Basically, what the Nigerian guy says, right, is that Czechs, and yeah, he said Czech Republic. What a coincidence, Dion. Yeah, exactly. And Dion, it's okay to talk to yourself. Okay. Czechs are known for being the least religious Europeans in the whole continent. Besides Estonians, I'm not sure what's the percentage though, but they're known for not going to church. So for anyone that is agnostic, basically like me, right, as atheist or irreligious, you would definitely feel right in. And of course, for my Christian viewers, right, that love churches and whatnot, I'm sure Prague has plenty. Again, I do not know much of the country, so I was just scared to look up these videos recently, and I hope it's okay that I'm not rushing myself since I know people were pressuring me for being a small tuber and whatnot, right? Basically what he's trying to describe is that they're known for having magicians or be seen as more sinners compared to, let's just say, Eastern Europe, if that makes sense, because the Czech Republic, they're known for being more really open-minded, or I think they call it liberal, which is really interesting about the country, so to speak, which I can relate. So let me go on to the next, and I wish I could go more detail. I just don't want to keep everyone on hold. I apologize for that. Just actually talk over it, and again, please pardon me for the choppy audio. That it just happens when I have the video being played in the background. But what you see here up to the bottom is basically Czechia, right? Yeah, you can say Czech Republic, just like the Nigerian guy did. Yeah. It's supposed to be the countryside, right? It kind of reminds you of the plains in the Midwest. Let's say if you're going from Iowa to Nebraska, maybe around outside of Illinois, maybe outside of Springfield or Aurora, but not about Chicago, right? A lot of people only think about Chicago, Illinois. It's like that, right? But for Slovakia, it's more the mountainous, right? Again, Czech Republic, they're known for having a large city, right? Or larger cities. While for Slovakia, it's just more of nature, which both of these countries are just downright gorgeous. I just had to share that. And also, I just find it really fascinating based off their flag. I always thought a country's flag represents the color or their nature based off of their environment, right? We're not talking about race here, we're talking about the environment. Well, of course, based off the French colors, white represents purity, you know, having success of the country, winning from wars and whatnot, while the blue represents the skies, and the red represents the blood and the sacrifice, you know, let's just say for the soldiers / warriors of the country, which is really interesting. And seeing how Prague is kind of flat, it kind of reminds me of my city in a way. We're not that flat. Okay, we're way more mountainous than the rest of the country, right? Even though we're not crazy high, what I mean by that is our elevation is around 1,100 above sea level. I'm not sure how much that is in meters though, and it's 10 o'clock even. It's basically similar to Prague because their elevation is similar to my city's elevation, which is Phoenix. And it's kind of funny to look at from their perspective because where of my city's origin, we do have mountains is just rocky hills, if that makes sense, right? We don't have hills here. We don't. It's all rocks. And because especially as we live out in the Saharan desert, it's so funny. It's just so ironic to look at the difference between the two, right? Well, for Slovakia, it's more towards, let's say, California. I'm not sure what parts in California though. I guess maybe I'm not sure if SoCal counts because California is a really mountainous state. We're not talking about the Coast Beach or you go to Venice, where you go to, let's just say Malibu, etc., right, or San Diego for that matter, because California basically have more mountains or taller mountains than my state does. Oh, pardon me, because I burped. And there is this really cute clip, but this would be a little bit off topic. I want him to be protected all times. Enough said. Okay, just take a little quick tick break.
Where are you originally from?
I'm from Arizona. Specifically, I was like around the Phoenix area. Lived there for most of my life. Based in Japan for about 2 years now.
What do you think of Japan?
I love every second of being here. I mean, it's definitely the most amazing place in the world.
In terms of cost of living, do you think Japan is expensive or cheap compared to the US?
I would say that the cost of living is...
Protect that board all times. And yes, us Arizonans, we do look like that. You know, I'm the slim version of him. Well, I'm slim and healthy. I'm not ripped, of course. We're not always obese. I just wanted to share that. We're one day healthy state. And this one, it's really ironic. And why'd you make it that we're Kim Kardashian duck face? I don't get that. The video was really quick, right? And again, please pardon me for the choppy audio. They're basically influencers that are also not American. I always thought that when you think about influencers, right, you think about pranksters that basically will cause wreak habit of harassment towards this random people that work minimum wage jobs, of course, to this being obnoxious. So is that just an American habit? Other countries are like this too. It's just that we're more open about it, sadly. That woman that you see there, right? She was doing like a little petty theft on sneaking in. I think it's the light rail. I think, yeah. Because again, we have light rails here, right? I know we don't have monorails or anything like that. We don't have underground subways here. And also, I forgot to share that look of that really hot guy or boy there that you see, right? That's basically one of the streets that I walk around my neighborhood that says "Welcome to Phoenix." That's what it looks like out here. That's our Phoenix symbol, which we also have a flag for. And I like walking through there because when you walk behind the sign, it's Glendale the other way, if that makes sense, right? Think about Minneapolis to St. Paul. But she's supposed to be from our old country, right? I'm guessing that woman is Czech, and she basically would sneak in the light rail without paying. I do not know why people do that. She's really lucky, or have a huge clover on her heart for not getting kicked out or basically going to jail just to pay for that fine, or just having a warning maybe, because here in the US this does happen sometimes as well. And if I could just share a funny incident when I was in high school as a junior, because I remember this emo girl named Sam that I knew, whom lives in Oklahoma now. She kind of peer pressured me to actually get into the entrance, right? That you're used the handicap that will get lifted up to be transported inside the city bus. We basically got in there, we got kicked out, And I'm surprised that we didn't got the police called or whatever, because I didn't want to do it, but I don't know. She was a sweetheart. It's a little hard to explain it because of her mental health or whatever. And not fitting in high school. It's a long story, but it's a little embarrassing incident that I had. And seeing that video of that woman that basically would just go in that light rail without paying, it's ironic how this happens in other cities, even in one of the healthiest or most educated ones in Europe. So it's a first, honestly. And hey, and then I think for like one
Studying
more.
abroad in Europe. Studying abroad in Europe while black. Let's talk about it. So we're studying abroad in Prague, Czech Republic for a semester. And we're from the United States, and I'm from the South, she's from the North, but we go to school in the South. So we're used to like white people being weird and like looking at you crazy. But Europe? Oh baby, it's something different.
Yeah, so when I came here, I knew that, there's not that many black people here, blah, 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 whatever, but I didn't expect there to be literally one other black person in the entire country.
And it's us.
It's literally us. And I just did not expect the amount of staring and the amount of intense staring. People will not look away. They will stare and continue staring throughout the entire tram ride, everything. They just...
So initially it was like a really big culture shock, and it was like really making our experience here really poor.
And how these two girls are coming from, and I just want to say one thing: they're gorgeous. I just want to get that out. Someone that lives in Phoenix, right? And hopefully that me just talking between these clips hasn't bothered any of you. It's just really difficult to edit this, since I'm using an iMovie Maker, and I do feel the pressure to talk really quickly. That's why I'm not speaking properly, right? I mean, especially since I do have stage fright, if that makes sense. But except that it's behind my MacBook. My city is under 8% black. I think in Indiana it's like 7% blanket, give or take. Yeah. Imagine that compared to Atlanta, which is around 40%. In Baltimore, which is 62%. That's insanely high. Okay, so imagine you go to Atlanta, right? That's a lot of black people. Except it's the opposite way in Phoenix. Basically, 43% of my city is Hispanic, but the majority are Mexican, right? Hispanic / Latino. Okay, and I would get stared at sometimes out of curiosity, and even though we're of my state origin, I don't pay attention to race, because that's just none of my, let's just say, I guess you could say human jurisdiction to basically be concerned of one's skin pigment, right? I just shop and just go around, just be out and about and just mind my own business and enjoying nature, unless I probably get racially discriminated, which sadly happened a few times. And not to mention, if my hair would get well, I don't think I had incidents like that, I believe. A little long story on that. I think it would be a little bit weird if someone would touch your hair without asking. Like, I get it that you'll be fascinated by how someone looks, but it would be the same way if I would touch a woman's hijab without asking her permission, right? That would not be okay whatsoever. Especially since that's sacred in the actually makes sense. And I even talked to a really handsome guy. He's 195 centimeters, which is 6'5", a giant, so to speak, even by Czech standards, okay? I did talk to my Snapchat, use bad footage on my stomach, I believe. I just had to share that. No way, I didn't see him nude or anything. Because again, he was 19 when I met him, and I think I was in my mid-20s at the time. So this was ages ago. And it's ironic of how these two girls, they basically did have some little nasty experiences, because the Czech Republic is a really homogeneous human society, similar to Japan, because people of other backgrounds are so uncommon. Because this is Central Europe, it's way different compared to France, for example, because France, well, there are way more blacks. There's a few million of them, mixed with Arabs, right? Even though they're American blacks, they're still black, but just different nationalities. So I just thought that from looking these videos up or searching them on TikTok was really interesting, because from how I feel about Prague, it's kind of similar to where I live as well. And then yes, we do have blacks here, we're just scattered, right? There was a few other things I want to mention, but I don't want to make this video too long. But if I can mention a couple things here. Phoenix is sister cities with Prague. And not to mention, I've seen videos that they're known for having gay for pay. I've seen, it's called Czech Hunter or something, which I didn't know that the Czech Republic is known for that. Think about the red light district, right? About that. It's similar to out here where some parts of my city, sadly, as long as it's consensual and they're doing it safely, that's all I care about. I would see people that would sell their bodies for money. And it's kind of like that same way in Prague in certain parts, unless I'm mistaken. But that's just something I just want to share about how I witnessed people sharing their experiences of visiting Prague on TikTok, and I just thought it was interesting. So I just want to say this for my viewers that are Czech. I hope you enjoyed this. I don't know to say thank you though, but there is one word that I always say in my community posts, ahoy. I like to keep that a secret. I love saying that word, right? And also, proceed means please. Subscribe. If you basically are interested in me doing a part 2 maybe, or if you like my thoughts and plan me for the choppy audio, this is all I can do right now, and I don't want to do any more editing because it's already 10:24. I already sacrificed 50 minutes of my period just to get this video done, and I'm just going to upload as it is. But yeah, I would love to visit Prague. I would. Also, my butt is killing me because I don't have a hemorrhoid, but darn it, I need more fiber. Oh. Okay,